Hey everyone, I'm Benny and that is Dylan, and welcome to PlayStation and Steam Gamers. Today we're going to do a video that will be completely obsolete in a day.
Yep.
The Avengers Wartable for Wakanda dropped, and we're just going to go through a couple of the beats of what they mentioned, what's going on. And if you don't know, I am a Marvel's Avengers ambassador. Dylan and I have been playing it for the last year. Dylan far more than me. I show up for the content. Dylan just played.
It's true. I have officially half of the characters at 150 now, and the rest of them are on their way. Most of them, the ones that aren't at 150, I just don't have enough polycore on to get up.
That's what I'm stuck at. I have two at 150, and I have one more that could be at 150 if I had polycore on, and I'm working on two more characters right now. But all right, let's get into this. It's not what we do in Avengers. We'll have a whole talk about that. And if this actually brings the game back to the limelight, we might talk about it weekly. Right, Dylan? Yeah, what we're doing.
Like we originally planned last year.
Yeah, when we were like, they were like, hey, will you guys talk?
Nothing to talk about.
That went 2 weeks, and we were like, so what now? What do we talk about how bad the bugs were? All right, so starting off the bat, the first part of the whole war for Wakanda, they showed off Black Panther. First problem I have a problem, Dylan. There's an actual issue I had with his gameplay, and I need to let you know this. His costumes were too amazing. It's going to get way too expensive, way too quick for me to buy them all.
Yeah, especially because they didn't at any point mention whether or not you get one of those for reaching level 50, or if any of them are achievable in-game without buying them. So
yeah, they just showed off so many amazing costumes.
Yeah, a lot of them look great, but maybe they'll have some kind of sale like to kick off, but they didn't mention that either. So
I don't think they will. They said that there are 40 cosmetics, and I'm like, oh no.
40.
Now, do you think that when they say cosmetics, that's 40 costumes or nameplates, takedowns, everything in the cosmetics tab? What do you think?
I don't know, because I think it's possible that number could easily be 10 unique costumes plus like 4 or plus 3 recolors for each costume.
They do love their recolors in this game.
Right. Which is what, like, I was impressed by the amount, and it kind of makes sense because they don't want Black Panther to come out and then for the next 3 months of the marketplace, it's just, here's a bunch of Black Panther costumes so that we can catch up to the amount of costumes that the other heroes have at this point.
There are 4 pages for the other heroes. If you go to the marketplace and you go over, I think it's like 8 per page. 4 unique, there's 4 pages of costumes on all those characters.
There's a ton. There's a lot that, like, because I've been doing the weekly like Avengers shop updates for a while now, and there's some that I don't even know about. Like the other day, I put on a Thor nameplate of like his like classic like mid-aughts costume where he's got like the belt strap and the like chainmail arms and stuff. I was like, I wish this costume was in the game. And then I went over and scrolled down. I was like, wait a minute, it is. And it has 3 recolors. And I was like, oh, great. So I bought that and I've been using it.
It's quite obvious that this is where they're making their money because they only charge you $10 basically for a challenge card. And everything else has been straight up cosmetics. Everything is free to the game. They haven't charged anything. And that's actually, I should say that right now, they're not charging for War of Wakanda. This is a whole expansion. So I'm actually not against the amount of costumes because they do put in things to unlock in there, such as the iconic mission and the level 50 and the challenge card. So, but yeah, what about his gameplay? Because I loved your comment when we were watching it live. You were like, he's a summoner.
Yeah, all of his heroics seem to summon like the Panther God or like the Dora Milaje somehow. But it's fun. His gameplay seems like it's going to be interesting. I have a lot of faith in the devs of this game to, you know, make an interesting to play character. I think they could put a toaster in the game and have it be fun to play. Like it
I mean, they kind of proved it with Kate, honestly, where you can take a character that in the comics is kind of basic. Black Panther doesn't do much other than talk really well and kick everyone's ass. But like he doesn't have like a utility belt, basically, is what I'm getting at. He doesn't have these things. He has the kinetic thing, and that's basically it. So I love the fact that they are doing the summons, that he is able to bring in the Dora Milaje, that he is able to do all of these cool moves, but he's also doing the moves that you would expect. The cartwheels and things like that. That was my only complaint with Kate, because it was all teleportation and everything, and I'm like, okay, that's not what I was expecting at all, and it's very much integral to her kit.
Right. And it's also like, it's not too it's not too off the wall to where because one of the concerns I had early on for this game was that they're not going to come out with heroes a lot because each one is going to take too long.
Right.
And obviously we've only gotten 3 since the game has launched, which is a lot fewer than we expected. But like it does seem like they're not just starting from scratch every time, but they're still making them feel unique, which I think is evidenced by the Hawkeyes, where that's a shared kit that has little tweaks to make them feel vastly different from each other.
Yeah.
And then same seemingly with Black Panther, where Black Panther looks like he's a combination of Cap and Black Widow.
Yeah.
With like, you know, new stuff thrown in. And I think the intrinsic meter, like they said it in the Wartable that his intrinsic is really important, and I think that's going to prove to be true just because of how like different that will make his character feel with the, you know, the resource management of like charging up your kinetic energy and then releasing it is something different that other characters don't have.
I feel like they're going the direction of, I don't know if you ever played Warframe, but I played a lot of Warframe before. And they come out with a new character almost every 2 to 3 months. And you would think that, oh, they're all going to feel the same, but they somehow make them all feel different by just tweaking out the little things and the animations and the way it plays. And I feel like that's the direction we're going with Marvel's Avengers, where like you could, if bare bones look at this, you're like, it's Black Widow or it's Cap. Those are the two that I, like when I first saw this, I thought. But as I saw more of his kit and the abilities and the intrinsics, I was like, okay, no, he's going to feel totally different. It's not going to feel like those two. So
right.
I agree with you on that. Next up on this list here that I found on PlayStation, the enemies. The enemy I was surprised. So I've seen that there's going to be human enemies. I honestly just thought they'd play just like the robots, but talk different. I was really surprised that like one guy could do shields and this guy could do this and this guy's got a giant axe. They looked like they spent time making them all feel different from the aimbots that we have been fighting the last year.
Right. They have different because they did a whole kind of this entire Wartable was basically just a quick summary of every article that they've released leading up to this expansion, and they did a whole deep dive on 2 of the enemy types. And they said that there are more than just the 2, like excluding the crawlers that they showed us a long time ago. And they have actual mechanics to them. I don't have like the specifics in front of me, but it's more than just like this guy shoots you. Ooh. Like
right,
they have
which is what I
things that you have to right. And then there's actual like mechanics going into it, and I think it plays into the 2 new types of damage, the sonic and vibranium damage types that they both deal with. Which that actually they didn't mention in the Wartable is the 2 new damage types, which is something that they did an article on. So I don't know.
I didn't know that they were actual damage types. I just thought it was going to be like, okay, this is something we have to deal with.
Yeah, it's new. It's new damage. That there's new sets of gear. There's new sonic gear and new vibranium gear. And they're both same stuff as before. I think Sonic is a cool status effect and Vibranium is a warm one, or the opposite. I don't remember, but they do interesting things. Like I think Sonic, you know, I'm not going to say what I think it does because I can't remember exactly, but they do more interesting things than just like damage over time. It's like, you know, it is an interesting mechanic. Yeah.
All right, that brings us to the next area, which I'm excited and not excited at the same time. So the jungles of Wakanda. That's the next thing they have in this list here, where the areas look like there's a lot more jumping, a lot more traversal, a lot more trying to get around. I feel like this is why we don't have another flyer right now, because the problem with Thor and Iron Man is they just straight break whatever they're trying to do map-wise. Like, period. I feel like that's what it's going to be here. Like, we're all going to probably be running around as Black Panther for the first week or two. Like, it'll just be 4-man Black Panther squads. And then eventually it'll be like, all right, well, I'm on Iron Man, so bye, guys. You know, what do you think about... Do you think they're going to do something to prevent Iron Man, Thor, and future flyers from just ignoring the entire map?
Yeah, I don't really see the because they did put a lot of emphasis on this map being more vertical than the other ones, and I don't really see that as a traversal change. I see it more as like a more interesting combat arena.
Okay, yeah, that could be fun.
And just in general, like that looks, just visually speaking, like that's more interesting than just, you know, like in the Pacific Northwest where the only verticality there is like aim platforms and stuff.
They put a lot of those platforms up. They put a lot of those.
For some reason. Who knows why. But in the Wakanda zones, like it looks like it's actually part of the environment, and that's kind of fun.
Right.
Especially with like the Future Wasteland, the previous new place that we got. Like that's just flat, boring terrain.
Yeah.
So this is more visually interesting.
I don't like the Future Wastelands that much. There's not much going on there.
Yeah.
And maybe when they open it up as like an open area, we can just run around. It'll be better. But as it stands right now, you have one mission you can go to in there. And I've done a lot of it the last couple of days to get 75 takedowns for that mission. Mm-hmm. It's not interesting. Next up on the big thing, they were talking about the All-Star cast. Steve Bloom, I know Chris Judge. I mean, they're amazing names in voice acting and in television. The Erica Luttrell from Westworld. I love Westworld. I've seen every season of that, and I'm a huge fan of that series. The other names I didn't recognize too much, but what did you feel? Do any of these names stick out to you? Anybody that you were excited about?
I mean, Christopher Judge being Kratos in God of War and now Black Panther in this is really cool.
Yeah.
Also continuing the weird connection this game has to God of War, but it's I don't know, it's fun. Like it's a good cast. It's got a lot of like classic voice actors mixed in with some classic TV actors as well. So
I'm excited.
Nobody aside from I guess Christopher Judge. I'm not like a huge fan of him outside of God of War. I think
Watch
he's also
Stargate.
I was gonna say he's also
SG-1.
in Stargate, but I've never seen Stargate.
We can't be friends anymore.
Oh, okay. So sorry.
That's my rule. If you want to be my friend, you have to have seen every 13 seasons of Stargate SG-1 and the terrible spin-off Atlantis.
Oh God.
All right, last thing, the UI changes. I'm not going to make my joke about them putting out loadouts because only like 3 people will get that. But loadouts are coming, official loadouts.
At
but
some point.
We're going to be able to lock gear finally, which I can stop panicking every time I look at my Kate gear because I have like a full defense set for the OLT and then a full precision set. And then every time I go in there to clear out my inventory, it's like, oh, wait, which one's the good ones? I don't want to.
Yeah, my trick to that has just been to boost it higher than...
Yeah, that's how I noticed. I boost it.
There's some reason that this is boosted. Don't delete it.
I love the UI change. I did find it hilarious. The biggest complaints I saw about the UI change on the internet is that, it puts an emphasis on all the cosmetics, which are marketplace. I wish it focused on things that weren't in the cash shop. And it's just like, then it's just going to be...
Though?
But here's what I find funny about that. Right now, there's a tab for the non-pay shop stuff and a tab for the pay shop stuff. And it doesn't work. So, it's just clunky right now, which is annoying. So I'm glad they're all going to be on one page.
Yeah, I don't love the UI, the new UI. I think it's ugly, but I also thought that the previous one was ugly. So that's just personal taste.
I will agree with you on that. I don't think it's pretty, but I do think it, as a quality of life shift, it's a much cleaner and easier to access UI.
Yeah, the function of it is very needed. Down to the point that now I don't think they mentioned this, but you can move around the UI with the D-pad now, which is just super helpful. You don't have to mess around with the weird virtual cursor if you're using a gamepad.
Yeah.
And obviously all the other stuff, you can have 9 sets of gear on your character, or 9 little pieces of gear on your character instead of 6. 12 instead of 9. You can move things between your storage locker willy-nilly. You can mass dismantle at any time. You can access your storage locker at any time. There's a bunch of quality of life features. And obviously the they talked a lot about this in the dev live stream where they revealed all this UI stuff, is that this is laying the groundwork for stuff like loadouts and the cosmetic wheel and a bunch of other stuff that's in the works. So yeah, functionally I'm very excited for it. But yeah, I've never been really a fan of the UI in this game. I think it's just a weird aesthetic choice that's just really heavy for no reason.
Yeah, I can give you that. Yeah. All right, well, that is the War for Wakanda Wartable. Tomorrow I'm going to be live on my various things playing it. And probably Thursday or Friday we'll just do our full impressions of the whole thing. Because right now we're just excited. It's all been announced.
I won't be here, so...
Oh, yeah, I guess I have to do that alone. Oh, I'll just do it when you get back. You're only gone for 5 days.
Next week.
Yeah, next week we'll
that
record
gives
it.
everybody a good amount of time to play through it all. So next week we'll do a full rundown on our.
I still think you planned it. By the way, you're like, no, I didn't plan that vacation.
I planned this vacation a month ago before we even knew when it was coming out.
It worked in your favor. You're going out of town. Shit, how are you gonna? You'll figure it out. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. See you next time right here.